Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have The Princess Diaries. This is a 2001 film. It's almost 20 years old, from Gary Marshall, director. It's about an hour and 56 minutes long, and it stars Anne Hathaway. It's pretty much putting her on the radar for many people. I don't know if she did a whole lot of big stuff before this, but this is a big starring role for her, right alongside Disney icon Julie Andrews, Mary Poppins. Uh, her character Mia, is living with her mom in San Francisco, and ding ding, dead father. But who that dead father is uh, changes her life in crazy ways. Um, Julie Andrews shows up on her doorstep, well, in a sense, shows up in San Francisco to tell her that she's a princess. Her dad, who had passed away, um, was royalty, and her mom, and his mom, her grandma, is the Queen of Genovia. It's not doesn't exist. It's not a real country, but in this movie it is, and suddenly she finds herself, uh, Anne Hathaway finds herself having to act more princess-like. It's we've seen this story, this fish out of water trying to become something you're not kind of story before, but it doesn't feel too much like a retread because between Anne Hathaway's performance and Julie Andrews, and so many others, Hector Elizondo, I say that right? Yes, Hector Elizondo, who plays her guardian driver kind of guy, who's super charming in this. Uh, Between them and just a really good cast. Heather Matarazzo, Heather Matarazzo plays her best friend Lily, and even Mandy Moore, uh, playing a super bitch, kind of hot, cool girl at school, uh, which she's not like that, but she seems to do that really well. She did that. What was that in that? I love the movie. I can't, my brain is blanking on what film it was that she played that, but the Christian version, in the Christian school version. But yeah, anyway, Mandy Moore is in this. Yeah, and there's a number of other people, plenty of hot boys in which to confuse and perplex um, Mia, which is uh, Anne Hathaway's. My brain is not working well tonight. Sorry. Anne Hathaway's character perplex her in ways that she does not expect when she suddenly finds power and fame, and her entire world turned upside down. Of course, at first, trying to keep it a secret, that doesn't last very long. Uh, so she's has to somehow reconcile her two worlds and who she is between the two of them. Of course, like I said, it retreads a number of different things. It actually builds up in a very unique way, in a very interesting, well plotted way until everything is revealed. Then it kind of falls into a number of different tropes. But alienating your friends. Who are you going to stick with? The cool hot boy who suddenly likes you that you've always liked, or do you go with your friends who've known you forever and know who you really are? It's that struggle between the two. There's the paparazzi that she has to deal with because she's a princess living in America. Um, so yeah, it's some of it's a little goofy. The funny thing is that her friend Lily runs a cable show. This is honestly just a few years, honestly almost a decade, but just a few years before everybody would be doing something like this on YouTube or Twitch or whatever, things like that. But it's kind of funny to see it being. She has a basic cable show, which is kind of funny for a teenager at this point. Um, Lily, not Anne Hathaway. Uh, and first of all, she's like 19 or something like that when she's filming this. She plays a 15-year-old who has a Mustang that's being kept in the garage that's not working. She's having friends, and the cute boy who has a crush on her. They're working on fixing it up, and it's all she's ever really hoped for. She's like, I want a car to work. That's the highest of her her hopes, having a car that she can drive that she's happy with. But she's about to get access to just about anything she wants to. They don't go over the top with, oh, suddenly you're just living in riches, because she hasn't officially claimed the title of princess, and she hasn't officially rejected it either throughout this film. And that what it does, what the climax of the film builds towards, is that decision. Does she want to change her life? Does she want to take on this role that changes everything? And who does she become as a result? So that's the whole impetus of this thing. Of course, in the start of it, she's shown as just frazzly haired, glasses, kind of dorky. Nobody sees her. She's invisible to most people. People accidentally keep sitting on her. She's adorable in this way. And then, of course, they have to make her princess-like, make her more beautiful, make her hair controlled, and get rid of the glasses. Larry Miller shows up in this, uncredited for some reason, but he plays a stylist, a designer, to improve her look, so she's just not a big frazzly-haired dork, which with glasses, it's that whole cliche where, oh, there's this dumpy, ugly girl wearing glasses, and suddenly, oh, you take them off, she shakes her hair, and she's gorgeous. It's sort of a take on that, but it's not as gross about it. She's still her. She doesn't change really who she is, except in certain ways when she decides to go for the boy she thinks she wants. But through that, she's still a dork. She's still uncomfortable. She can't speak in front of others. She's a nervous wreck. She wants to do what's right, but for herself and for others. And Julie Andrews is throughout this, while she's measured and controlled, she's not totally Mary Poppins, where she has that kind of attitude where she knows everything and has control over everything and is charmed by everyone, and charming herself. Julie Andrews in this is a queen that's sort of at a turning point. She's not queen by blood, but her granddaughter is princess by blood. And if somehow she doesn't make the right decision, well, they could lose control of the country to these other people. Which is not even a huge plot point, which I thought it would be. It's like a little minor, almost comedic point, which is brought in almost in the third act. Like, oh, by the way, yeah, if you don't make the right decision, here's some people who are going to take over the country. What? And they're just sort of, they're not menacing or evil, but they're ugly, and they're just waiting with fingers tapping in the wings. The funny thing is about this, one of the funniest things about this is that Gary Marshall and the writers, I guess, decided that this movie needed a bunch of little side funny bits here and there. It had to, I don't know, like there's a recurring bit with the neighbor who he's kind of annoyed by Mia, and he always talks to himself. He has a little confrontation with Hector Elizondo, Joe, and he serves no point in the plot except to show that, I don't know, he's funny. He's actually really funny. He's one of my, every time he shows up, there's going to be a funny bit. It's kind of neat. He's like, I can't believe I won an Emmy, and he sort of writes out loud scene directions whenever people come and go next door, and he sits in a little director's type chair and sort of writes things out, and he's exasperated by everything but yet fascinated by what's going on. It's kind of funny. I like those bits. Whenever he showed up, I was like, okay, this is funny. It doesn't serve any purpose whatsoever. I don't know if they were trying to pad for time, but this thing is running a good almost 2 hours, so I don't know what they were trying to pad for. Usually you're trying to pad if it's like under 90 or under 80. But yeah. So even when Anne Hathaway is not being a goofy, clumsy, just completely dorky kid, she's not athletic in any way. Throughout this, she's playing softball and soccer, and she's just getting beaten by balls all the time, um, but yet she's like this. She's got it all together when she's rock climbing with her mom or doing art with her mom. So she's a creative, interesting girl, and I think that's kind of kind of the message is like, hey, if you're a little bit different, you do little different things that not everybody's into. It's okay. You're not a mutant. You're not a monster. You're not a weirdo. And if you do consider yourself a weirdo, that's a good thing. It's nothing to be ashamed of. That's one of the other things throughout this film. There's a lot of sort of cultural touchstones. It's almost product placement in a sense. It's like rock climbing. Why? It serves almost no purpose in the story. There's not a scene toward the end where she needs a rock climb to save anybody or anything else. And then there's electric scooters. She sometimes uses it, and sometimes she doesn't. I mean, this is again. These are, I think, it's right when these things were kind of being introduced to the culture. Um, it's 2001, so and now it's sort of like going, hey, there's like no brand names, except I think at one point one of the kids is drinking a Red Bull. It's just sort of like, hey, you know, scooters. Let's put those in it. That'll make the movie cool. Oh, rock climbing? That's a thing that people do just now in our little Hollywood community. Let's put that in there. So there's a lot of little cultural touchstone things. Speaking of LA, Mark and Brian, I think, two guys who were DJs, or at least until recently were, on one of the rock stations here in LA, are the DJs of the school's beach party for some reason. So these are just little things that only LA people would care about or know about. But yeah, it's a there's just lots of little things peppered in here. I think that Gary Marshall just felt, yeah, let's do these things because I'm doing a Disney film and why not? But yeah, for the most part, yes, obviously this movie is for the teenage girl who feels a little bit awkward, or even not the awkward ones, the cool ones. Hopefully, would also get this and say, hey, oh crap, I'm Mandy Moore. Yeah. And hope that they wouldn't be Mandy Moore for any much longer. I'm not going to tell you the whole plot or anything else because you know what the normal conflicts in this type of movie are going to come up. No matter how regal she's supposed to be, the people who were her friends and the people who were her enemies remain so. Even though at some point, when she becomes popular and well known, her enemies try to pretend that they're her friends. So she kind of gets used for her popularity and her fame. Again, not really spoiling anything because you know how that story goes. So it all comes down to whether she decides that she can be a princess, whether she can, if she feels as beautiful as she looks on the outside, if she can handle the responsibilities, or if what she does, or why she does these things, help anybody but herself. So it's all in the interactions of Anne Hathaway and Julie Andrews and everybody that she comes in contact with. So yeah, her friend Lily gets a little bent out of shape over this, a little, but it's to be expected. So it makes for a fun, funny film. It's actually funny, and it actually moves pretty well. It's yeah, just having the actual the fake royalty and the actual movie royalty of Julie Andrews in this is also kind of freaking great. So I highly recommend it. I never thought I'd say this. It could totally have been a throwaway film in anybody else's hands, but Anne Hathaway, she's just gorgeous. Look at him again, like, and not a creep. She was like 19 or something when she was filming this. Maybe I'm still a creep. I don't know, but the idea is that she's not a young kid, but she's gorgeous in any phase of her reality. Let's say that because. No matter how beautiful you try to make her, she's just dorky cool. I liked her with the frazzled hair and just the glasses. But yeah, it's just a harbinger of what she would eventually become. She played Catwoman. She's like eventually this dorky kid will grow up to be Catwoman. Go figure. So that's not a small arc. So anyway, I highly recommend Princess Diaries. Not a sentence I'd ever thought I'd say, but now okay. But it's true. You got a cast like this and a director, and they make a very standard story into something palatable. It makes it fun, and yeah, I could go on forever, but let's pick tomorrow's episode.
355.
355. Ah. Ooh. I'm pretty sure I've seen this movie. It's been a long time. But this is one of these Disney hidden gems. I'll tell you all about it tomorrow. Why tell you all about it now? But I'm excited. I've been waiting for this to actually pop up randomly, and I. This is one of these. Like I said, it's a hidden gem, so I think you should watch it along with me to see what you think. Leave feedback. Let me know. But we're gonna meet the Robinsons. Meet the Robinsons. It doesn't got a princess in it. Nobody lets it go. It doesn't have. Well, we'll see. I don't remember. I don't remember the cast, but it's one of those kind of movies that came and went, and it's got a cult following. And we'll talk all about it tomorrow. Meet the Robinsons on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow.